It's Pretzelman 945 here. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I have a list which is probably long overdue, and that is an update to my 10 video games, which is a video I have not done in over 3 years. Holy crap. Except it's more than top 10. It is a full on top 25. So, special video today. Extremely long overdue update to a pretty major list of mine. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the list. At number 25 is Animal Crossing New Horizons. I don't really play this game anymore, and I haven't in a few years, but this game kind of took over my life in 2020, as I'm sure it did with a lot of people, and I have extremely fond memories of it, and I will definitely um play more Animal Crossing games as they come out because this was my first Animal Crossing game, but I really enjoyed it. So, yeah, that's why it's on this list. Number 24 is Pokemon Legends ZA. Now, comparatively to other forms of media, I have not played nearly as many video games or read nearly as much manga. It's like those two that are significantly lacking compared to every other major type of media like books or anime or movies or regular TV shows. And so as a result, even games that I would give like an 8 out of 10 are still like on this list, and Legend ZA is a perfect example of that, where despite my issues with the game, like the story was just truly incredible. It was like such a brilliant follow-up to every aspect of the XYZ anime that like I did not know I needed in my life, and yet it's so welcome. Um Also, I really enjoyed the way that the unique gameplay worked, and honestly, this game is what has got me excited for Gen 10. I will be making a separate video about that, I think, about that and like Pokemon in general, in soon. But um, like it's because of this game that I feel like I kind of got in back into Pokemon uh at an older age now, and I really enjoyed it. It's kind of special to me for that. And number 23 is Mario Kart 8. Um this and Mario Kart World are the only Mario Kart games I played besides a little bit of Sunshine and Wii when I was not Sunshine, Double Dash and Wii when I was really young. Um and I mean, this game is just incredible. There's so many tracks. Like, I do think Mario Kart World is a better game mechanically, and it's more fun to play with friends. But Mario Kart 8, just because of the larger number of tracks, I think is better, and it's just more fun to play solo, which is normally how I play Mario Kart. Um, And yeah, I love Mario Kart 8 a lot. I played it so much on my Wii U, and I played it even more on my Switch and now Switch 2. Um, and number 21 is The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. As I'm pretty sure I have explained in past videos, Um, I think that Tears of the Kingdom is an improvement upon every single problem that I had with Breath of the Wild, and it also just makes the things that I really liked about Breath of the Wild even better. So therefore, it is just a superior game altogether, and even though I still have not finished it, I love it regardless. And whenever I get around to finishing it, it might rise higher in the list. Um, at number 20, and really the only Mario game that I have completed, although I am playing Mario Galaxy right now, it's a lot of fun. I will make a video on that when I finish it. Um, really the only Mario game I've ever properly completed is Super Mario Odyssey, and Super Mario Odyssey is an absolute blast. Considering the fact that this was my first Mario game, um, I had a lot of fun with the mechanics. I thought that the way that Cappy moved created for or made for extremely satisfying and fun platforming with a lot of really fun puzzles that you had to figure out. And yeah, the platformers for me are a kind of game that I play every once in a while. They're not like my favorite genre, but they're always like a nice, refreshing break from other heavier story games. Um, like Super Mario Galaxy is after I finished Expedition 33 a few weeks ago. Um, and Super Mario Odyssey is like the pinnacle of that for me because it was just an extremely enjoyable time. Um, At number 19 and 18 are Hollow Knight and Silk Song. Now, despite the fact that I did not finish either of these games, um, just because I am an absolute pussy when it comes to video games, and these two games were just too hard for me, that doesn't change the fact that I love them regardless. I have watched like full playthroughs of both of these games, and I really immensely respect the story and the world building of both games. Um, I do believe that despite the limited amount I play of both games, I think that Silk Song has better movement overall, and there are a ton of tiny mechanical improvements that I think make it a good bit better than Hollow Knight, despite the fact that I love both games. So therefore, they're in the same area on the list with Silk Song just being one spot higher. And number 17 is Donkey Kong Bonanza. This game was frequently compared to Mario Odyssey because it was made by the same team and it does have a lot of similarities. However, there are a few significant reasons why I prefer Donkey Kong Bonanza by quite a bit to Super Mario Odyssey. And that's because number one, Bonanza has like some of the most fun and satisfying gameplay of any game I've ever played because it is just so fun to go around smashing literally everything in all of the layers and discovering the bananas to do it. Like that entire gameplay loop is just incredibly cathartic and just fantastic. Along with, I think that straight up, um, the story in Donkey Kong Bonanza is actually fantastic. I think that like the fact that Pauline is a character that actually has proper voice lines adds so much to her character. Um, and I love the relationship and the friendship that her and DK build up to, and like just the amount of layers that you go through is great. Void Kong is a very basic villain, but it's not even really the point because like then you get to the K Rool stuff at the end, which is one of my favorite final boss fights in any video game I've ever played. This game was just such an absolute blast. And there's a reason why it was my 2025 game of the year. Um, until I played number 16, which is Expedition 33. Um, as I mentioned on my video about Expedition 33, these games are still very close, but I just ultimately prefer the overall narrative of Expedition 33, along with I really enjoy the turn-based combat in Expedition 33 as well. Um, I do have my issues with Expedition 33, mainly the fact that it really could use a damn map. I will never get off that point, but this game is truly like something special to me because the narrative is just so creative. Um, and it's so interesting how it like goes from this thing to stop this apocalyptic being in these quests for doom, just centering around the struggles of an incredibly broken family. And um I'm not gonna completely like retread what I talked about in that video regarding my thoughts on the stories and characters. Instead, what I'm going to address something which I have seen a lot of like I've been watching a lot of Expedition 33 content the past few weeks since finishing the game. And one thing I've seen, I've watched a few like critiques of the story and how people don't like the way that it seems to sort of be an abrupt transition into the struggles of the Descendroy family from the more larger scale than it possesses in Act 1 and parts of Act 2. And personally, I don't agree with that criticism because number one, I think the transition between the elements of the story in Expedition 33 is actually handled really well, but also because like I think the narrative around like how broken the Descendray family is just makes for an extremely compelling story that like it was easy to follow along to me. Um, there are other things that I mentioned before that everyone else has mentioned. The soundtrack is one of the best in video gaming for sure. Um, uh, mm. The turn-based combat is also fantastic. I really like the dodge mechanic and yeah, it also looks great too. Uh, really a special game to in my opinion. Really enjoyed it. And number 15 is Tetris. This is like this is hard to explain in some sense, but the simplest answer is that like I just find this game really fucking fun. And like I can never get I am insanely good at Tetris. Like if you put me in a room with 100 strangers and tell me to beat them at one thing, I guarantee you I have a pretty darn good chance at beating them all at a game of Tetris. Um, I just find Tetris infinitely fun. The theme song is one of my favorite songs of all time. I love the addictive game loop. It's just it's ridiculously fun. Um, Number 14 is The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. I played this game for the first time in May of 2025. Um, almost a year ago, and I really enjoyed it. I don't like it as much as Skyrim, which spoilers is coming up later on this list. Um, the top 8 remain completely unchanged. Uh, well, no, I guess that wouldn't make any sense since I haven't made a video update to this list in 3 years. Never mind that. But yeah, Skyrim is much higher on this list. A little spoiler, but um, I really enjoyed Oblivion. Um, for one thing, I do think it has a better story than Skyrim. Um, but at the same time, there are some aspects of Oblivion that I just didn't like particularly much in comparison. The main aspect of which being the dungeons. The dungeons in Oblivion are just fucking terrible. They're all extremely samey and maze-like and not interesting to explore at all, and often just a very frustrating experience. that was definitely my biggest issue by far with Oblivion, along with certain minor things like certain glitches affecting gameplay experience and the fact that I didn't like the lock picking mechanic and stuff like that. But it was mainly the dungeons that bring Oblivion down. But that doesn't change the fact that Oblivion is an absolute blast of an open world game to play that I think has a really darn good story. Like I said, a better one than Skyrim, and a lot of really memorable quest lines, several of which I do think are done better in Oblivion than Skyrim. For example, the Dark Brotherhood. Um, the number 13 is a game very close to my heart. Um, Childhood favorite of mine, and probably the game that I have replayed the most despite never actually finishing it. Um, that is Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic. You, if someone told me to pick to pick like one game to play on a desert island for the rest of my life, there's a very high chance that this is the game that I would pick. Um, if I had three games, that becomes a little bit more that could be in its entire video, that kind of question. But basically, if someone asked me this question, gave me one game, I would probably pick Knights of the Old Republic just because, like, I love the gameplay. I love watching content about this game. I love like the story. I love just going through the same routines and quests over and over again. It's such a special game to me with so much childhood nostalgia because I played it so much as a kid. It's such a awesome Star Wars game, and it's basically like one of the things that essentially created all of Star Wars Legends to begin with. As far as I know, like at the very least, it was extremely foundational in that entire part of Star Wars lore. So it's very significant for that reason, and I will just always have a very special place in my heart for this game. And number 12 is Persona 3. Persona is my favorite game series, despite the fact I've only played 3 and 5 and still haven't gotten to 4 yet. Uh, what It depends on what will happen first, whether I feel like playing 4 or whether Persona 4 Revival comes out and I play that instead of the original game. But Persona 3 I played back in 2024, and this game is absolutely just incredible. I think it's got a better story than Persona 5 by quite a bit. Um, and and despite the fact that I really wish that there were more social links that you could do at nighttime in this game, I really, really liked all the social links, and I think in general, this game has a much, much more consistently higher rated spread of social links compared to Persona 5. Um, so it's also got that going for it too, along with it's a Persona game, so it's going to have like the best turn-based combat of all time. Um, the number 11 is the Final Fantasy VII Remake. And the only thing I can say about this, just because Rebirth is so much higher on this list, another little spoiler, um, Remake is like Remake for me is sort of hard to judge in a bubble, especially like considering I completed Rebirth about a year ago. Um and and I love the story of Remake a lot, clearly because it's number 11 on this list. I loved like the introduction of Cloud's character, um and stuff like that. It's just like because Rebirth is such because Rebirth is casts such a shadow on it, it does I do find it a bit hard to talk about this game in particular, especially because it doesn't have nearly as much Sephiroth in it. However, that doesn't change I wanna get the point across that I do absolutely adore this game. Hence why it is number 11 on this list. Um, and a lot of the things that I will talk about loving in Rebirth first came from this game, such as like Cloud, loving Cloud as a protagonist, loving Sephiroth as a villain, loving Barrett because he's just the goat. Um, loving the way that combat worked, the way that like the slow timing makes it it's a very very unique fusion of like turn-based and action combat is just super super cool. Um and I also love all of the characters too. Um yeah, but Rebirth just does so many things better that it's hard to talk about this game in specific, but I do genuinely love it. And number 10 is Star Wars The Old Republic. This game is another one that holds a special place in my heart because this is the only game I have ever played that at a certain point came close to overcoming Minecraft at the number one spot. That still has not changed since the last list. I don't feel uh, bad about spoiling that now. That still has not changed. But Swoder, in my peak enjoyment of it, which I would say is like late 2020 to early 2021, uh, there was a time period where it was close to overcoming Minecraft, and it is the only game that has ever done that. The two expansions, Knights of the Fallen Empire and Knights of the Eternal Throne, are still like some of the greatest like sections of a piece of media I have ever played in my life. Specifically chapter 2 of Knights of the Fallen Empire. Um and so many of the other storylines and solo content in Quoter were just absolutely incredible. However, the game in the past few years just really fell off to me. Like it had a bunch of baffling combat updates and the newer story content I just didn't find nearly as interesting, and as a result I just sort of lost interest in the game, and I don't think I'll ever really have the same bark for it again, but it's the kind of game that will always be among my favorites due to a very special phase that I had with it, and the fact that like a lot of the story content in this game is just truly some of the best in any video game. Number 9 is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. This like if we're not counting Minecraft, this is like by far, I think even with Minecraft included, even though I don't like it as much as Minecraft, I think Smash is like these days my most played sort of casual game. Like I play it all the time, both by myself and with friends. I just I love the mechanics for it so much. I love all the characters you can play. It's just so much fun every time. It's like the perfect game to follow up me playing anything else on my Switch. It's just amazing. Um And number 8 is Persona 5. Despite the fact that I like the story and overall social links in Persona 3 better, that doesn't change the fact that there are many amazing social links in this game, and the story is also really, really, really good. I really enjoy all of the characters. The best one being Maruki, Akechi, and Sumi by far, Akechi being my favorite of those three. Um, and this is what introduced me to the Persona formula and what got me absolutely fucking addicted to it. I don't know like what else much more I can say with that than that because like Persona games just have like the best gameplay loop of all time, in my opinion. Um, so yeah, Persona 5 is Persona 5. Number 7 is Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I believe this game was much higher in my old list from 3 years ago, although I have not rewatched that video to see if that is the case. Um, this game I kind of played on a whim because like I had started Xenoblade 1, but and I liked it, but I got to a point where I kind of gave up on it. I do want to go back and try it again. Um Same thing with Xenoblade 2. I started it but never finished it, although that was after I played 3, admittedly. Um But this game I just saw on a Best Buy shelf back in mid 2022, and I just decided to buy it on a whim. It was the last copy of a game, so I do have that kind of cool experience to share. I had no idea what to expect, especially considering I had, as I said, given up at the time on Xenoblade 1. But this game it took me by so much surprise. Not only does it have incredible combat, and between the little I played of 1 and 2, like three's combat completely solos both of those games. It is so much better and more fun. Um, and there are also so many little gameplay mechanics that I like better. It's very clear that 3 is feels like a much more refined version with so many little improvements from the other two games. Um, and it's still like one of the best video game stories of all I've ever played, with like tied for the best cast of characters in a video game. The other spot I will talk about momentarily. Um, and and like exploring the areas was just also really really cool. I love the way the exploration works in Xenoblade, and um whenever I get around to properly playing 1 and 2, I'm sure I will enjoy them, though it probably won't be as much as 3. This game was a special experience and I will always love it. Honestly, I'll probably replay it after I finish 1 and 2, I think. Because it's just that good. Um, the number 6 is Metaphor Refantasio. And this game, I believe, is like this game is what I want Persona 6 to be, because there are so many little things in this game that are just tiny improvements over what was already a fantastic Persona formula, and it fits things that weren't even really problems I had to begin with. They were improvements that I didn't know I needed. Um, and as a result, it means that the combat is even better, turn-based combat, than Persona, because of the way that the class system works and the fact that every character can be their own unique class, was just create so much customizability, um, along with like like this has got to be one of if not the most unique fantasy worlds in any piece of media I've ever consumed. Like all the races are completely original concept that don't that there aren't like any elves or orcs or dwarves. They're all like completely their own sort of custom creations. And while some of the designs do look similar to other fantasy concepts, like the cultures that are created around them, the things that they do, the types of villages that they live in, they take inspiration from other fantasy elements and it creates something incredibly unique and in a way it serves as a metaphor to the to the uh to the other fantasy concepts they get inspiration from. That was a terrible joke. I'm sorry about that. That was terrible. um It also continues the trend of having an absolutely fantastic cast of characters. This is not the game I was talking about that ties with Xenoblade 3, although it's probably like a good save number two spot, I would say, for best character cast in a video game. Um, and the world and exploration is so much fun. I love like completing all the various quests and like traveling around all the towns. Like the way that it does exploration in the various kinds of dungeons is just amazing. I love how it just improves upon Persona in that way. Um and I also like I love the fact that the main character has voice acting. I want that for Persona 6. Everything this game improves upon Persona 5 in, I want in Persona 6. I want them to take this game and basically turn it into the next Persona because everything about it was just I genuinely loved all the little improvements that much in this game. Um Number five, it's Skyrim. Um, this game is just like it's got like the second best open world proper exploration in a video game. It's got some of my favorite combat consistently. Like I guess you could say the same thing about Oblivion. I love the way that Elder Scrolls does the combat. Um, But obviously, this game has way better dungeons by having a weaker story and quest lines compared to Oblivion. And this game is just like infinitely replayable and infinitely fun. Um, I don't have nearly as much to say about Skyrim, but like Skyrim is just Skyrim. It's just like so much fun. There's a dozen YouTubers that have made a bajillion video essays about why Skyrim is peak that can like put into words why Skyrim is peak better than I can in this video here. Uh you can watch any one of them and I would probably agree with all the points in those videos. Um and number four is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And this is the game that ties with Xenoblade 3 for having the best character cast in a video game. The reason why it was somewhat limiting to talk about Remake on its own is just because, despite how much I love Remake, as I said when I talked about that game, this game just overshadows it on every level. It's got a really darn good open world system with great exploration and a lot of really fucking good side quests. Um I do have some complaints with certain areas of the world in terms of the way the map and traversal work and especially like and especially certain the ways that you collect things like some of the Chocobo mini games, war flashbacks, like insert that gif of the soldier face here at some of those Chocobo collecting mini games. But also like this game is just able to expand on the characters in so many ways. Like it expands on Cloud so much. It gives so much more character to Barrett and Tifa, and like Aerith's death results in a fantastic character conclusion for her. But in particular, you get so much more with Sephiroth and exploring him as a villain, and him in this game made him my second favorite um villain in video gaming besides Valkorion and Swoder. And just like everything about this game completely overshadows the remake just by itself. And I am so excited for part three of the remake trilogy whenever that's gonna come out. My guess is um 2028 is probably like a realistic time range for that. I'd be very surprised if it was announced for next year, to be honest. Um but like that game, if it can like uh if it can surpass the quality of Rebirth, there's a very good chance that it could become the second game to fight with Minecraft for the number one spot. Um and number three is The Witcher 3. Um I absolutely love The Witcher as a franchise. It's like one of my favorite pieces of fiction. And this is what started the train was playing this game. It has an incredible open world. It's got like the best, um, or one of the best stories in any game I've ever played. I really go back and forth between this and Swoder, which one I sort of value overall. Where like The Witcher 3 as a solo story or the combined story content of Swoder. Most days I say Swoder just by a slight bit, and Witcher 3 is the number two spot. But in terms of like a singular story, that isn't like an amalgamation of stories like Swoder is, because it can kind of cheat in that way. Like Witcher 3 is pretty easily my favorite in that category of having a story because it's just fucking incredible. Geralt's development and the way that he interacts with the NPCs. Like, I will always prefer open world games where you play as a set character, even though I do like ones like Skyrim where you can make your own character. And I love Geralt as this preset protagonist. He's just amazing. The way that he can interact with the world is just fascinating. Ciri's character in the story is just incredible, and honestly, her character in this game might be my favorite out of any piece of Witcher media, which is a crazy thing to say considering all the incredible development that she goes through throughout the books. But there are just the sections where you play as Ciri are my favorite, and I feel like the relationship between Geralt and Ciri is possibly the best explored in this game out of any piece of Witcher media, which is why I do believe that Ciri is at her best in this game. Um, I also really enjoy the combat. It makes you feel like you are an actual Witcher, and even though I didn't do any of the things, there are so many like fun mechanics in terms of like um using oils to defeat enemies. There can be a lot of strategy in it, or they can also not be. I like this sort of difference between simple and complicated approaches to the combat in this game. And this game has probably the best side quests in any video game I've ever played, just in terms of consistent quality. Like, the variety of the side quests, um, the incredible character work that's done with NPCs that are introduced and you never see again after a particular quest, and the way that various like details of one quest can tie into another quest just makes the entire world and exploration feel so fantastically cohesive. Um, I love The Witcher 3. Um, Number two is Ghost of Tsushima. Before I played this game, I would have said that Skyrim has the best open world exploration, but no, Ghost of Tsushima takes this spot by a fair bit, I would say. I loved exploring the world in Ghost of Tsushima more than any other game I have ever played, and this is in large part due to, I mean, obviously, like the world design is just absolutely incredible. I love the way that you discover things, the way that you liberate various Mongol camps, like the that process of clearing things and discovering more of the map is so satisfying. And the guiding wind is like one of the most genius game mechanics I've ever seen because it serves as a perfect guiding uh route without like where you barely have to check your map at all. And this is like pretty much the only game except for certain parts of Witcher 3 where for a majority of the time in the game I chose to actually run to a location rather than fast travel, even though with open world games with fast travel systems, you obviously do use that a fair amount. But this is like the only game where a large majority of the time I actually much preferred to um uh travel on foot or on a horse across the land, and that's because this game is quite simply the best looking game I have ever played by miles. Like no other game comes close to the insane level of environmental detail that this game possesses. It literally feels like I am playing through a real life forest at some point because the island of Tsushima has so many beautiful and varied locations. Like, I just love the world design of it so much. Another thing that I love equally as much as the incredible world design is the combat. This game has the best combat of any video game I've ever played by a mile. I talked about with Witcher 3 how there is a good bit of strategy to the combat. Ghost of Tsushima eclipses this by a lot. Um, there are so many different nuances to the way that you can combine different, like all the different techniques and weapons into your own unique sort of fighting style. You can make a very melee heavy build. You can make a very weapon heavy build. You can make archery weapons. You can make stealth and weapons. And even though they can kind of be sorted into a bunch of major categories, there is so much like little customization that you can do with all of the different weapon types, which just makes it just the best combat ever. And like the combos and the different dances that you learn, and like being able to use it against each enemy, and like switch between each stance to kill each enemy one at a time. Like no other game combat has ever felt more satisfying to me than that. And on top of this, despite the fact that I do believe the narrative of this game has its limitations, I still believe that Jin Sakai is a fantastic protagonist with a really good villain in uh hey something Khan. I don't remember what the villain's name is. Um but he was a really good villain, and um and overall, I did really enjoy the story in spite of the fact that I think it was limited by its lack of choice and the direction of Jin's character. Regardless, I still believe it is a really good story. Um, the major tales were honestly the best story content in this game. Uh, each of those centering around all the major characters as like major quest lines were so interesting, and yet they weren't even the best quest in the game. The best quest in the game were easily the mythic tales. And I would say Ghost of Tsushima is a close second place to The Witcher 3 in terms of my favorite side quests consistently in games. Because the side quests in Ghost of Tsushima were also really good. Um, and then of course, ending it all off at number one is Minecraft. And I have played Minecraft now for 13 years. Um, it's quite hard to explain like why I like Minecraft so much or like why it always is my favorite game of all time, but I think the best way I can explain it is like this. Um what I love in pieces of fiction and especially video games, this is the reason why I love RPGs and open world games so much, is I love being immersed into a world and exploring it. Literally the definition of what open world games are. But to me, Minecraft is sort of unique in that way because like Minecraft can be whatever I want it to be. So it's like getting immersed in a world that I create, which is like an extra level above the things that I already really value out of open world games. It's just like a step above all of that. Um, and it will just never stop being fun to me with creative mode existing. Like I find survival mode a blast to play, but creative mode on its own is just like uh can keep me forever satisfied with Minecraft as far as I'm concerned. So, that's why it is eternally my favorite game of all time, despite the fact that Twitter once came close to overtaking it. Um, and yeah, uh, that is gonna do it for this very long video. Uh, um, Hopefully you enjoyed hearing me um, yap about my favorite video games for almost 50 minutes. Let me know what your favorite video games are in the comments below and also what you thought of my list. But for now, thank you very much for watching if you watched even a second of this long video, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.